Gary asked me to tell you why power walking is better than running. Well, it's absolutely true. First of all, there's no bouncing, which does take place with almost every running step. Even if you bounce very little, the heel strike sends tremendous force up into your feet, legs, and back and can lead to injuries. The second is that your one foot is always on the ground, so you're always being supported in a stance phase of walking rather than totally off the ground, which has a greater risk for injury again. Heel strike is more controlled and lesser on impact than a running heel strike is. Also, every portion of the foot's movement is more controlled in a power walking step than in a running step, which takes place faster than a power walking step takes time to accomplish. Therefore, we can prevent injuries by controlling the movements of the foot more exactly. Now, there are many different ways that we can try and prevent injuries while we power walk. First is to get a proper fitting shoe. Keep in mind that foot imbalance is key and essential, and if you have a foot imbalance, you're likely to develop a foot, leg, or back injury. So let's look for them before we begin a power walking program. Look for bunion formation, or hammer toe formation, or calluses forming under the metatarsal heads or on the big toe. These are signs that your foot may have an imbalance. If you've had a past history of ankle sprains or other foot and leg injuries, you may want to go and have yourself checked by a sports podiatrist. What we'll be looking for are imbalances in the structure of the foot, particularly in the ankle area. If the heel and the ankle are well aligned and allowed to move through normal ranges of motion, as most people are able to do, then the likelihood for foot and leg injuries are greatly diminished. If you have a foot imbalance, the podiatrist can make a cast of your foot, holding it in its ideal position. From this cast of your foot, a duplicate of the bottom half of your foot is made, and from this, a modern foot orthotic device can be fabricated specifically for power walking. This device helps control the movement of the foot up, down, in, and out to allow only normal ranges of motion to take place and thus allow the proper forces to be transmitted all the way up into the back. Keep in mind that shock-absorbing insoles can be placed on top of these things of highly sophisticated material to help prevent foot and leg injuries. High-quality, proper-fitting athletic socks are very important to prevent foot injuries. You want to make certain that you have something not only in good repair and condition, but made of some of the new fibers that'll actually wick perspiration away from the foot and keep your foot drier, thus preventing athlete's foot and other foot irritations while you're running. Most of these socks are reinforced in the ball of the foot area as well as in the heel area to give you added cushioning and protection. It's worth paying a little bit more for a much better sock. Keep in mind that socks should never be pinched or pulled tight on you, nor should they be very loose or floppy on your feet as well. All running shoes should be replaced after power walking after 750 miles. That is the maximum number of miles that you should put through the shoe, no matter how good the upper looks. Replace it because the midsole, the white shock-absorbing cushioning materials, will have probably worn away. That's where you can't see the wear and tear, but that'll show up in your body in terms of lack of pressure and shock absorption on each heel strike and toe off. If you should get injured, here's exactly what you have to do to quickly overcome an injury and get back into power walking right away. First, for the first 48 hours, you must use ice. That means taking a simple plastic sandwich bag with one of those Ziplocs, throw in enough ice cubes just to cover the area or slightly bigger, and then apply the ice directly to the injured site. If it's too cold against your skin, put a paper towel around the plastic bag or two, and that'll de-ice it a little bit for you. Now, keep the ice on for no more than 10 minutes by your watch, then off for 10 minutes. This is the best physiologic effect, and it won't cause any damage to skin or for people with impaired circulation. 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, for an hour to an hour and a half, or until pain stops. Now, this can be done all day long and all evening long for the first 48 hours. Following that, we only use ice when we're having pain. Then we like to use heat. Hot, wet towels placed around an injured area will help draw out inflammation as the towel cools down. For people who may have had phlebitis or vein problems, you only want to use a warm, wet compress, never a hot one. Now, if the heat makes it worse, use ice. If you're in doubt whether to use heat or ice, use ice. If you're in pain, use ice. And for the first 48 hours after injury, always use ice. If you do your stretching and strengthening exercises, you'll functionally progress and gradually get back into race walking and power walking safely and effectively in just 6 to 8 weeks.